Hey, and welcome to the Den Code podcast. I just want to talk about positivity versus negativity. And today I want to just get right into it and talk about how the negativity just sets you down a wrong road. So in my life, the biggest thing that I have found in the past is when you start talking negatively, or if you talk negatively even while you're doing something positive, it actually brings that down. The negativity, it can actually attach to some of your positive things. So what I've realized is family, friends, football, whatever sports or whatever activities you do, it can actually attach to it. So if you've had negative ideas and times in that, it could actually be related to what you brought to the table. I'm starting to realize that the biggest things in life you can actually change, and our outcomes are not preset already, and we can really start focusing and moving forward. A lot of people think that once they're down a path, they can't do anything else. Well, this is how you reset. This is about the reset and how to reset and find what you're actually destined to do. So the first step that I would do is start realizing if this is actually the life that you want to live or somebody else wanted this for you. If you can sit down and actually realize and say, I enjoy what I'm doing, then you can actually say, you know what, maybe this path is right. I would write it down, and I would just sit down and write down what you love about what you're doing and what are some things you'd like to change in the next little bit. The next step after that, after you've written it down and you start thinking about, okay, what do I want out of this life? What do I like? What do I want to change? Step 2 is action, and the action plan is simple. Every day I want you to be positive, and I just want you to change. Whenever you think negatively or you go down that path, just be like, that's not me, that's that negativity coming in. Cut it, focus on yourself, and don't belittle others and don't talk bad about others, because you know what, every time that I have done that, it has led me down a path of that's not as good, and I don't get the most out of myself, and I'm actually wasting time. That's the biggest step, I think, is that action step. Because if you can start realizing when you fall, then you get up quicker. Because as soon as you see it, you're like, okay, I'm not wasting my time. I'm not wasting today on that. I'm not wasting this week, this month. I'm going to just move forward, focus on what I want, and really change the future. That mindset will really set that action plan in. Number 3, I would say the third step in this is a lifetime maintenance. And what I mean by is once you put an action plan in, and what I just said, where you put it in and you want to fight the negativity, now this is going to be maintenance. You're going to have to fight it for the rest of your life. And you're going to have to find the backing on what things you can rely on. So the backing is family, friends, and just the great times in your life when you feel the best, when you get that natural high, I call it. If you can find that, then you're set up for success. If you believe that this is going to be the plan and that you stick to it and that you actually implement it today, you can really change your life. If you start falling, the action plan was there. There's going to be days that you fall and you're going to get back up. But the thing is, remember about those times and how you can just kind of change it. You can. Hey, and welcome to the Den Code podcast. I am going to just take a nice relaxed approach to this today. So in the last little bit, a lot of people have been wondering, and that I train or friends, just how to do different things in their lives, how they set themselves up for the next big move. I call it the big move. Today's podcast, how do we set ourselves up for the big move? I was in Detroit for the end of November there, and it really gave me a mind reset. I'm back to what my true potential is, and how do we make the next big move? Everybody wants to know it, and everybody wants to figure it out. Well, there's not a blueprint. There's not a thing that I can just say, here's the big move, take it. It's going to come knocking some days, and if it's at the door, you either answer or you keep the door closed. I'd suggest answering most of these big calls, because you know what, they're going to change your life forever. The big things in your life are going to make you think. And that's the thing that I really have found, is if you have something approaching you and you have to question and you're like, okay, what about this? What is my future? Then maybe, you know what, those people need to be in your life. And your big moves when these things come in is, do I want this in my life? You do have to sit down and actually assess your life, because nobody else should be telling you what you're doing. So sit down and assess these big moves when they come knocking on the door. And do I want to take it, or do I want to sit back and I'm comfortable? The comfortable is really scary though, because if you don't make moves at the end of your life, you're going to regret things. So I would suggest taking a big move if it fits in with your plan of the future. That's where I get to next. So how do we know to take a big move or not to take a big move? My thing is, you have to know what you want out of your life. And yes, I know you don't know everything you want out of it, but I would like for like a few things to be written down. For myself, you want to be very successful. I want to reach lots of people. I want to eventually be married. I want to spread the word of God. I want to spread all of my knowledge in training and betterment to every client that I have and everybody that I come across. That's what I have written down. Family means everything, structures everything for me, and that is no matter what, at the end of the day, you go home and you have a great day or a bad day. You don't take that negativity towards the family. You keep the positivity, even if you did. If you have a great day, it's easy, but if it's a bad day, then you have to figure out different ways to kind of decompress and before you go in. That's how I've matured heavily, is usually when you have a negative day, or if this big move has you questioning, you're going to take it out and you're going to try to figure it out. I would suggest a little meditation and figure out on your own first rather than others telling you what to do. That's where Detroit came in great for me, was I'm on my own. So when I figured it out, I was like, okay, what do I want? Not what other people want. What do I want? And by the end of that trip, I knew exactly what I needed. And when I came back, I've actually been applying it way better. And I've seen success. I don't worry anymore about what other people think. Because on those days where you're worried and you go into the gym or work and you're worried about what other people think, you're not living up to your true potential. You're more worried about, do you fit in? Fitting in isn't fun. You want to be outside the box and be great. And at the end of the day, I think that if you can find those times that you are the happiest, it's usually when it's you and not the other people's version of you. The big moves, though, back on that, is just you have to think down a line and see. The big move's not going to tell you all the time when it's coming, and it hits you. So this is why you need a back strategy on your own of what you want in life so that you can apply it and then question it. It's not a yes or no right off the top. It's a think. Do I want to do this? Do I not? What are the successful chances of this? What are the negatives? If you can assess everything that you do in your life, you can really reset your life. Because a lot of the time we have predisposition and we already know what we want and don't open up and already say no or say yes. It's the 5-second rule, I call it. In a 15-second dialogue of conversation, most people know in the first 5 seconds what they're going to respond with. So the last 10 seconds is dead dialogue. It's crazy. The dead dialogue is sometimes the heaviest content in there, especially if you're meeting somebody new. The first 5 seconds is actually just an intro. So you could just copy and paste anybody's name into it and it's very similar. But that real great content is usually in the last 10. And then you give your answer, and then there you have, say, 30 seconds to dialogue back, and you listen to the first 10. So you get a little bit, but then you don't get the full. It's just, you see what I mean? If you open your mind to these big potentials or just conversations in general, it will really set you up for the big successes and those big chances that can come up in your life and really set yourself up for success. I think that if you figure out, just listen. Listening is the thing that I can change in my own life, because I do a lot of talking just in the personal training side of my life. And sometimes, you know what, it's nice to listen. I learn a lot from my clients and they teach me a lot. If you just listen, you can see that a lot of people are different in a lot of ways and they all have different big moves. Really, if you look across their lives, it's crazy when you train people. You see that this person took this one didn't. How did it work out? And a lot of them, you know what? A lot of the people I train are happy with the moves they made. There are some that I'm sure aren't, but you know what? You can't live in the past either. You got to just set yourself up for the next big move for the people that aren't, because there's big moves that I should have made and I didn't. So not everybody's going to hit every single big move of their life. And I think that if you can really set it up for the next one, don't worry, learn from the last, get ready for the next. If you focus on the last, you're going to miss this one right here, because today is today. And tomorrow you got to be ready for. Yesterday we learned from, but we don't focus and water that. That was the last podcast. So if we can just get ready for those big moves, and I think that if you can actually have a real good support group, I've talked about this a lot. I'm always in yours. If you guys want to add me to anything, Facebook, Cody Elaine Hughes, Instagram, Megacode. Just if you need somebody to talk to, I'm there. Because you know what? The mental side of things is the best. If you train the physical in the gym or in life, or you're doing things and you're moving, but the mental side's neglected, you're not connecting that mind and body, which we talked about before as well. You really need that set and to feel very confident going into life so that when the big things happen in your life, you're ready. And I think that a lot of people going forward need to realize that life is a journey and it's not a straight path. And I think that if you keep looking at the negatives in life, you're really not going to get to the next level. Those times in your life when you're really, really down on yourself is the times that the big times in your life is when you miss things. And if we focus on them, we miss so much. Because every day you have so many experiences in your life. And if you can change a few things, if you can simply change a few things today that you would have done yesterday differently and that would set yourself up for success, that would be my challenge. If you can really open the mind, go into things and love people. Because that's the thing that I've been really focusing on myself is when people say negative things about you, you must be doing something. If you were doing nothing, nobody would care. So if they're going to say negative things about you, think about this. It's not saying anything about you, really. It's just saying about them. So maybe you don't need those people in your life. Realize, always question. If you just blindly follow things, you're not going to set yourself up for those really deep intellectual conversations with either your friends, family, or even yourself sometimes. Because you know what? Talking to yourself, sometimes it sounds whack, but it'll set you up for exactly what you need. You sometimes need to talk out loud and talk it out. And I believe in a boardroom mentality. And I think that if you can change it up yourself, you can really, really set yourself up. If you have that group, it's very good too. So pair it. But when the big things in your life, and you know what? I'd like people to start identifying them. I've identified mine. And if you can look back and be like, you know what? This next time this comes up, I'm going to do this. Because I knew that I could have done that. But I just didn't take the jump. And I sat back. And it could have been a successful thing. And if you're open to, in my business, training every single person that comes into the door, because you know what? Everybody has a spot in the gym. And I do believe this. It's an open house. Everybody is needed. And in the gym, it's crazy because I like to bring this just because it's my workspace and I work in a community gym for, you know what? When you go in, just go in positive because you can't control anybody else's energies. And if you think that everybody has a spot in there. Everybody's starting place is different. Their car just got going today. I started 12 years ago. There's been people in there for 40 years. There's somebody in today that just started. Those cars start, and they just start. Now we need to gas them, we need to maintain them, and we need to move. And that's the biggest thing. Movement is everything. Mobility is key. If you can teach, and if you're a personal trainer watching this, if you can train your clients to be able to move on their own as well. You don't want to be a crutch. That crutch mentality doesn't work. You want to empower people. You want to make them move so that, you know what, they're training with you. And then, you know what, on some days they're just, I want to go for a run. They want to do things on their own as well. They will make you look way better as a trainer and they'll be happy. So it's like you're getting the best out of both worlds because your clients are training on their own and they're training with you. And if you can build them a program, you're set. Life is great. I'm going to wrap this up, but the last little thing that I'm going to touch on is just the big. Remember, today is all about the big movements, the big things that are going to come into your life. Can you identify some of them and really move forward? And if you can change the future today and don't worry about the past, learn from it. Have a great day, guys.